Okay, I got cut off again, but I was trying to point to the door. I opened up the door like he was knocking on the window earlier today here at this house, and I started shouting. I said, "Get the fuck out of here." I started getting real mad. I don't know what came over me, but literally I lost it. I got really mad and started screaming and saying, "Get the fuck out of here. Get out of here. Leave." Because he was pounding on the window, right here on this window. And I opened the door here and I went outside. I'll show you an idea of what happened. I went out here to the porch and I opened this thing so hard and slammed the door. And I said, "Get the fuck out of here and don't come back." I got real mad and screamed at him and basically shut that door so hard. And I was in a rage of anger. I have, honestly, and I'm being completely honest with myself I have never, ever, I don't remember a time that I've ever been that angry, like ever gotten that angry or lost it like that ever in my life, honestly. And I'm saying that like I was about to have a heart attack. I was so mad. I was scared and angry all at once, all these feelings at once because this man was just fucking I was like so mad. And I've never been that. The feelings that I felt, the anger and I've never gotten that mad in my life. I mean, I have never acted out like that ever, as far as getting angry with somebody ever. And I sincerely mean that. I have never, it's like something literally came over me. It's like almost like something took over my entire body and mind. And I was just shouting and I lost it. I didn't physically harm this asshole, but I was so mad. I was really in a rage because I had enough. It's like whenever you've had enough abuse from somebody, and the way this was all fucking calculated, this motherfucker had it all coordinated as far as when he was going to show up. Usually he had been calling, and even though I had him blocked, he'd still call me and say things like, "Well, I just wanted to hear your voice," or he would say, in the past few days, "Why do you have me blocked? Unblock me. Why do you have me blocked? Please unblock me." Or then the other day he called and left a message saying, "I'm going to come by when I get off work today. I'm expecting you to, I'm going to be there when I get off work." And it's like, okay, well, whatever, you can come by, but I'm not answering the door or the whatever. So if he did try to come by last night when he got off work, I have no idea because I didn't hear anything, and I sure as hell didn't answer the window. I didn't hear anything, but I wouldn't have anyway. If he did, I certainly would have answered the door if he was knocking on the window. So, it's like they do, the way these malignant, covert narcissists operate is like they have to, what I'm giving you here are examples of somebody who is angry, trying to get revenge. He feels rejected, and he would tell me over and over again in the past, like, "Why are you rejecting me? Why are you rejecting me?" And it's like, well, dude, why don't you fucking think about that? Why don't you think about how self-absorbed you are and how this whole relationship has been a lie, one-sided, in the fact that you're still entangled with all your exes and your ex-wife, okay? And not to mention that I've never been anything but a friend to you. I'm your so-called friend, and all of a sudden, like, now you want to take me out in public, and we went out in public once a week ago or something to some restaurant. But the way he was treating me, I was like, this is fucked up. I was like, I can't believe that this guy is such an asshole. Like, he was treating me so shitty in public that it's like, no wonder, it's like he just was treating me like not very well. And then he was, and I almost had a feeling like maybe they poisoned me. Maybe this place, because I didn't even want to go there. I didn't want to eat anything. I had told him I've already eaten. I don't want to go there. And he's like, "Come on, let's go. Come on." And he insisted. So he went to that place called Lala's, and he ordered, and it's like he had to order for me. I was like, I didn't even want anything, but he made sure to order something that I didn't even want, which was a gordita, because he's been calling me fat lately, that I'm fat. Fucking care, whatever. I'm fat, I'm ugly, I don't have the right skin, I need to get, he's telling me, picking on me about my skin, telling me I need skin cream, and this shit, like constantly comparing me to other women and dragging me down about my appearance, and then saying things like, well, at work, they call me baby face. The women in the cosmetic department call me baby face, he says. I'm like, oh my God, okay. It's like, how could you be any more of a fucking metrosexual or a closet faggot? Sorry, but it's like, if you're gay, then be gay and just tell me you're fucking gay, but don't be a fucking closet faggot or bisexual and lie to me, which is what they do, what he did. Because it's so obvious, and he's on the down low or whatever the fuck, or having affairs with other women at his job. He's just a fucking player, and he knows it, and I've called him out on it over and over and over again throughout this whole fucked up situation thing. So he's angry. So basically my point is that he keeps coming around to fuck with me to try to get revenge because he's pissed off. He's pissed off because I rejected him, because I blocked him, and I don't want to have any more do him any more favors in use your imagination. I don't want to do that with him anymore. I feel repulsed, and I don't want him in my house. And as a matter of fact, I got rid of anything that. What you should do, ladies or gentlemen, whatever, if you're in a relationship with somebody and you know that it's coming to you know that it's over, it's a dead end, it's coming to an end, or you're in the devaluation stage, the discard phase of that thing, this relationship with this whoever you're with, and they keep coming around to Hoover to test the waters. Number one, don't make the mistake that I have. Don't ever accept the Hoover. You should not. When you know that when it's already over, or at least you've tried to end it, and they keep coming back, and they keep on, that it's like, that's called hoovering, right? That's called hoovering. And the reason that they're doing that is because they don't give a shit about you. They're not trying to fix anything. They don't admit to they don't ever apologize, by the way. Have you ever heard a nurse, have they ever apologized? No. You find yourself apologizing to them. For whatever reason, when you're with these malignant narcissists, you will find yourself apologizing to them for shit that they did to you, or problems that they created in your life. And why is that? Why do we have to feel victimized by stuff that they inflict intentionally? I don't know, but it's something that I have found myself doing over and over again, where I end up apologizing to somebody who's causing me pain and trauma on purpose. And it's like, why am I doing that? Why am I apologizing for something that this person is doing to me? And it's not necessary to do that, but that's one of the ways that they try to trauma bond you. That's how they use reverse psychology and gaslighting to try to make you feel at fault for what they're doing to you. And another thing is, if you know that they've cheated on you, for example, and if you said, you know what, I feel like you're lying to me, and I feel like you've been with someone else, and you can feel that. You know that when you're with somebody, you know from their behavior patterns, especially if you're intimate with somebody, you can tell that they've been with someone else by the way they behave, or you can just see the changes or feel them when you're with that person. And if you bring that up, that is to say, if you confront them about that, they will get really angry. Notice that they get really mad, and they'll start, blaming you for what you are accusing them of doing, which, you're making an accusation, but most likely, because that's your intuition speaking to you, and most likely your accusation is valid. Because why else would, I don't go around accusing people who I've been with of cheating on me, unless I have a really good inclination or feeling that they are. And, and I've never, and to be honest with you, and I'm going to be all completely honest because I speak the truth, I have never, in all the relationships I've had, I have never had these problems. As I've never felt the need to confront somebody about cheating, because I never felt that way with other people I've been with, men. I never felt that they were doing that to me. I don't think that they were. Maybe a few of them were, but honestly, in any kind of long-term relationship I was ever in, I didn't have any reasons to suspect that they were doing that to me, because there was a certain degree of trust that I had with these people. And when I look back on my other relationships, I see that they were more healthy, stable, communicative, reciprocal relationships where both of you are putting in the work, right? It's not just one-sided. That is to say, you give, they give. It's an even type playing, it's an even ground. Whereas with malignant type covert narcissists who need to be in control, it's always one-sided. They have to be in control of everything, and they are the ones who usually are going to be cheating on you and unfaithful. But they're going to get mad if you accuse them of that or call them out for it when you already fucking know that they're doing it, because the clues are all there, right? So they throw a fit when you accuse them or call them out for it, and then they turn around and accuse you of doing the same thing. When in fact, you know that you haven't done that. Because usually the way it is, like if you're in at least with me, if I'm in an intimate kind of relationship with a man, a man, because I'm not with women, but if I'm in an intimate relationship with somebody, I'm not going to be cheating on them. It's just not something that morally I can do. That I can't do that if I know that I'm in a committed relationship, or let alone marriage, especially if you're married to somebody. I can't do that. I can't. The guilt would overcome me, and I would have to confess to that person that, I'm sorry, this is not working out. I was with somebody else, or I'm interested in somebody else. I would tell them, because I feel that it's common courtesy to let somebody know that you're doing that to them, especially if you're leading them on and telling them that they're the only person you're with intimately. I mean, God forbid, there's all kinds of STDs and stuff that can happen to you because you don't know where they've been, what they're doing. And you have to protect yourself and your morals. I have morals and I have respect. I'm not going to do, I wouldn't respect somebody. I wouldn't respect myself. And I have to have respect for myself. And if somebody's doing that to me, I lose respect. Once they've done to me, unless you are in some kind of an arrangement where it's, whatever these like, open relationships, or I guess they call them polyamorous or something like that, I guess is called, where you kind of have, or swingers, I don't know, where people are just kind of like, you're with somebody but you're really not, or you're with them but you're also with other people. Okay, whatever. If that's what some people do because they get bored easily and they need constant variety and they don't want to be with just one person. Well, that's something that swingers do. That's something that polyamorous people do. That's something that people are polygamous, whatever they're called. I don't know the word. But me personally, I'm not into that. I'm not into orgies. I'm not into like threesomes. I've never been in, I'm a heterosexual woman. So, but I know that people are different and to each his own. I just don't want to be lied to and misled by somebody who I'm in an intimate type of relationship with, because that's not fair to me, and I'm only cheating myself by allowing that person back into my life over and over and giving them chance after chance after chance, knowing each time that you're doing that, they're just taking advantage of you, knowing that they just think you're stupid and that you're weak because you keep letting them back in, okay? If you keep letting them back in, knowing that they've already done you wrong, knowing that they've already lied to you, knowing that they've already, triangulated you or cheated on you with a coworker or whoever. I mean, I have to ask myself, well, that becomes my problem. That becomes something that's wrong with me as well as them, but it's me. I've got to fix that about myself, because it's something that I have to realize that by letting them back in over and over again, it's showing that I have a weakness. It's showing that I have a vulnerability where, oh yeah, that's okay. You know, come on in. Let me be your doormat and sex slave for another night. No problem. I know that you've been with so-and-so at the fucking motel or so-and-so at your job, and God knows how many women on the dating site, and maybe your neighbor and whatnot. Oh, but no big deal. Come on back. Come on back. You know, come on to my room, and because they'll manipulate their way back into your life. Oh, let me go to your bed. Let's go to your bed. Let's do this. Let's do that. Let's take a bath. No, you're not coming into my house. You're not coming into my bathroom. You're not coming into my personal space anymore and violating my boundaries. No. And you realize who's in control here is you. They want to make it look like they're the ones who have the ultimate say-so. No, in reality, you are the one you have to be in control of the situation. If you know what they're doing and how they're gaslighting you and the tactics that they're using, no, you put a stop to it. It comes down to you having to say, no more, I've had enough. And if it takes a fucking outburst like I had this afternoon, whereas normally I would give in and let him in. Each time that he's been hoovering me for the past several months now, hoovering me, I would let him back in. Let him back in to start the whole fucking cycle over again. Oh, come back in. Let me be your doormat more. Let me, so you can get fulfilled sexually. Yeah, me. I kept letting him back in because he kept pushy, knocking on my window, knocking on my door, calling me. So I am guilty because I kept allowing the narcissist back in. And I was allowing him to overstep my boundaries and violate my worthiness, my self-respect. See, I had a part in that as well. And if you have to recognize when you're in these entanglements that you have a part in it, it's not just them. You're the one who's feeding them. You're also feeding their fuel, because with narcissistic individuals, I've learned, these covert, malignant, narcissistic men, in my case, they won't take no for an answer, and they're going to keep pushing you and violating your boundaries, but they want to push your buttons, but you are the one who ultimately is in control, and you're the one who is going to have to say no more. And until you do that, they're going to keep on coming around and doing this shit and taking advantage of whoever, because they see you as being an easy target, as somebody who's weak, who they can do this to. And you need to recognize, and this is a message for, if I'm helping one person, good. If I'm helping somebody out there going through this, or I'm happy to be of assistance to somebody if I'm helping them. Because that's why I'm making these videos also, is to maybe help somebody else go through this kind of shit, because it's very traumatizing. It's very confusing. It's very overwhelming. It's unlike anything you've ever gone through, because I have not ever, I have never been in these, I have been with a few narcissists before, malignant, but not to the extent where, like this, where they just keep pushing your boundaries and overstepping and violating you, and until you feel like exploited in every way possible. I'm not used to that. I never had these problems in the past to that extent. Albeit married to a man taking advantage of me, using me for a green card, but that was back in 2010, and that's over. Been over a long time, and I'm over that. But I'm just saying, and I had to get a police restraining order on him because he was violent with me and trying to suffocate me. I've been through that. I've been through antagonizing, fearful situations where you feel like you're being threatened, like your life is being threatened, and you get sick. You get, as a result of all the stress, you become sick. You'll get physically sick from it. Sick. You'll find yourself with all kinds of health ailments and things that you never were used to before because of the trauma and the psychological effects that they inflict on you. It's very physiological. It's very much causes a lot of physiological harm as well as psychological and traumatic harm to an individual if you're sensitive to it. So it can be dangerous. It can be to the point where some people find themselves in situations where they shoot the person, where they end up going to jail, where they have to call the police and get the police involved because the person won't leave them alone. I didn't want it to have to I didn't want to have to call the police, even though there are times that I should have. Because you can't, when they don't take no for an answer, you're left thinking, what do? I don't want to get the authorities involved. I don't want to cause a lot of drama or chaos already added to the situation. So you want to try to resolve it yourself, but sometimes you feel that you're helpless. And that what if they, what next? What next? And so today, like I said, I lost it. I got angry. I didn't physically harm this guy, but I got so mad and shouted that I think he got the idea and he said, bitch, and he left. He said, fucking bitch, and he finally left. Because over and over again, I kept letting him back in. This is the first time of all these hoovering attempts that I said, fuck off, no, you're not coming into my house. I really held my ground. And I was, after that happened, I was still like, my heart was racing so much. I almost had a panic attack because I was like, oh my God, I was sort of in a state of shock because I was like, in a way relieved, but then also in a way like shocked that I finally was able to say no. And no, you're not, no, you're not coming into my house this time. And no means no. And I really held my firm with that this time. Whereas, like I said, the other times I kept letting him back into my domain. But this time, no, things have changed. I've changed. I've see it for what it is. In order to really sometimes see these situations for what they are, you have to take a sabbatical and do some real introspection, and then it kind of becomes much more clear to you. Like everything becomes really much more. There's a lot more clarity to the situation that you weren't able to tune into before until when, then you're all of a sudden it's like, wow, all of a sudden the light came on, or it really hit you this time that what you've been dealing with or who you've been dealing with, to the point that, you're like, it's like, I guess they say you had that light bulb moment of clarity, something like that, as cliche as that sounds, but it is true. Like you have this epiphany of self-assurance, and it's almost like you don't really know where it came from. Like what happened to me today, I don't know how that power came over me. It's like something got a hold of my spirit and really just kind of overtook me, my body, my mind, and spiritually, and took over to take over that situation, because I had had enough of his fucking gaslighting and abusive tactics, and I'd had enough. And whenever a person has had enough, you've had enough, and that's the way things happen with these types of situations. It's important to understand. It's pivotal to understand in interactions with covert narcissists that it's always very temporary, that these relationships, as they say, I've heard other narcissistic abuse coaches or counselors speak about how there's always an expiration date. You go to the store, you buy a can of, a package of crackers or whatever, a can of beans or a carton of milk or eggs, whatever it is, and it has an expiration date, okay? After a while, it's no good. You have to toss it out. It's not you can't consume it anymore. It's not good for you. It's edible, but it's not good for you, right? So same thing you could say with these types of people is that after a certain time, whenever that clarity has hit you hard and it's become clear, it's no good anymore. It's no good. It's time to let it go. It's time to move on, right? And the thing, what I have found is that they do not want you to move on. They seem to not want you to move on with your life. They seem to think that even though it's over, and it's over, they know it's over. There's nothing there. There's no trust. And when trust is gone, it's pretty much over, right? If you cannot trust a person in a relationship, then what really is there, is my question. If there's not that, then there's really not anything. Nothing else is really important. The intimacy, nothing is going to feel right if there's not that that foundation of trust, of communication, which are the more important than anything in any kind of real relationship. It's always about communication and trust, in my opinion. That's just me. Everybody's different. Some people base relationships entirely on physical image, status, things like this. Me, those things are important. You need to have an attraction towards somebody. It needs to be amicable or mutual. But when it revolves around that and that alone, i.e. like their image or their status, financial status, or status in the community, or whatever their job, because with these narcissists, they wear a mask and it's always about image with them. They have to project an image because it's all about appearance and the way they look and status, that they're very arrogant like that. And that feeds into their ego, where they're all about like what people think about them and how people see them. And so they'll treat you horribly. Like, for example, when I was in public with that person, and that's like the first time we had ever been to a restaurant like that in public. Well, after that, here's an example of what this man did that was like, oh my God, it's like this guy is such an arrogant narcissist, a covert There's a food truck right there, right behind us where we were sitting at the bench. And I'm watching the lady, I'm facing her, watching her prepare onions and doing some stuff with some onions. And I'm thinking, that's interesting, that's cool, And I was looking at the menu and I thought, maybe I'll buy some tortillas or something and try that out. And because he had already ordered me some gorditas, and I got it to go because I was like thinking that there's something that, even though the man was so friendly at the restaurant, his name was Steve, and he seemed really friendly, and I liked him. I liked the little restaurant. I felt like maybe this narcissist is up to something. Maybe he's convinced him to food poison me. You never know with these people. You never know. After everything that's happened, it's like I don't trust. It's hard to trust them. It's hard to trust anything. Food, it's just really, you can, I have a feeling that this man was poisoning me a lot when he would bring me food or Dr. Peppers, or I have a feeling he was poisoning me. I really do. That might sound crazy, but I have a feeling that he was all about something financial that he wanted from me, something about collecting money. Because let me say this, back to the targeted individual thing. With targeted people, real targeted individuals, you'll find that most of them have some kind of a health condition or some sort of something, right? Where they might have a mental diagnosis or some kind of weird health ailment, something of which maybe they survived something that they struggled with or they battled, and they're a survivor and a fighter. And so usually Because what it is like these people can easily, your family members or others, if you have a job, for example, whatever kind of job you have, and they can take a life insurance policy out on you. People can do this without your knowledge, and it happens all the time, like some kind of insurance policy. And so with targeted people, I suspect, and I've read this as well in my research, is that with a lot of targeted individuals, it's about life insurance. It's about life. These people who are targeting you are working for like insurance companies, because it's like there's policies out on you. There's different insurance policies out on people. And obviously, it could be anywhere from $1 million to $2 million, or $100,000 to $500,000, on up to $10 million. It just depends on who that person is and whatever. But this is real. Look in the news and research YouTube videos and whatnot about all the people who die, who get killed in these weird ways by their significant other. And there's money to be collected, insurance money, life insurance money, that these people are wanting to collect. So with targeted individuals, a lot of it comes down to somebody wanting to benefit off of you when you're dead. It is unfortunate and harsh as that sounds. It's very real. It's a real fact. So you never know who could contract somebody, a hitman, a headhunter, whatever, if there's an insurance policy out on you, or trust inheritance dispute like what I was going through. You don't know who these people really are, who they're working for, or maybe they were hired by somebody in your own family to fucking have you killed. And, you have to think about these things. It might sound really paranoid and conspiratorial or whatever, but at the same time, you have to take that into account, because there could be some validity to that. There's a lot of bad people out there that you can't just go around trusting everybody and thinking that everybody has good intentions for you, when in fact it could be quite the contrary. And I have found that out the hard way with people, especially when it comes to family and inheritance disputes, of which I've been going through for the past year and a half. It's still going on in the courts. Money, and there's money. When there's money involved, inheritance, trust funds, money, there's always going to be conflict. And whenever your family has connections to certain people, then you don't know what is really going on in the legal system unless you're part of unless you're a lawyer, unless you're working with the judges. You don't really know what they're arranging behind your back, right? It's common sense, especially if you've been diagnosed with some kind of a mental something. And in my case, my own mother trying to put me in a mental hospital or a guardianship on me. So in my case, I'm well aware that it's about money and it's about my being under financial control. That's a obvious fact in my situation. So I can't go around trusting everybody who comes into my life out of the blue from some internet site, finding me on a dating site, and usually it seems too good to be true. Because if they're love bombing you at first and showering you with compliments and little gifts and whatnot and trying to impress you and love bomb you, that all comes to a dead end halt. That comes to that stops on down the line when you see their true colors and what their real intentions are. All that love bombing fake shit is going to stop, because once they get what they want from you, it's like I said, like it has an expiration date, like the analogy about the grocery store and the food that expires, so do they. The relationship has an expiration date. They don't last. They're not. They're fake. You can feel you can feel how they're not genuine relationships, because in a genuine, real relationship, that person. They know you, they accept you for your weaknesses or your vulnerabilities and your flaws and vice versa. But with these kinds of people, they have to punish you for things which make you, your characteristics. They want to punish you for these things that make you an individual and shame you and punish you for just being you. And if that's going on with somebody, you know that person is not, they're sent by, not by God. That's for sure. They're not sent by God. You can say it's stupid, but maybe they're sent by the devil or demons or something, or Satan. I don't know, but I believe in God. I'm a very spiritual type person, believe it or not. I believe in very much in a higher power. And I feel that God is watching out for me and protecting me from these kinds of people, because I have to confront it all the time, and I feel protected. And I have that higher sense of intuition, I guess, like kind of that sixth sense kind of thing, third eye working, to feel out the situations and know, because when you feel in danger, that's when you act out. So anyway, I've been talking now for a lot about this today because it was just so really strange. That was just weird. I have never, ever gotten that mad, ever, at anybody. Never. Not even the ex-husband, the Panamanian who, when I had to call the police and he was trying to strangle me in my apartment on Elman Street, I was in shock, but not like I was angered afterwards, but I was in shock more than anger about that whole thing. And even though he was stalking me for days after that, hanging out at my apartment, harassing me, I still was in more shock than anything. But this anger that overtook me today, because of all the built up anxiety and stress, physiological and stress that I've been going through, I just really, really got mad. And I'm like I said, I'm still in shock, because I'm like, it's like he was all work. It's like he knew. I already put the chairs outside, the fucking chair that he used to sit in, that he would come to my table here and sit in that chair. And I had to get them out of my house, because I don't want to be reminded. They say that anything that reminds you of a person, you should get rid of it. And if you have the ability, you should even relocate out of a house if it reminds you too much of a person or a traumatic event or a bad relationship that, you should try to get out of it. Anything that don't hang on to photographs, don't hang on to memories, don't hang on to furniture, clothing, anything that's going to make you remember them or trigger you. You should get rid of it. Throw it away. I don't care if it costs $100, or get rid of it. It'll in the long run, it's going to be doing yourself a favor, because you don't want to hang on to things that trigger you into thinking about something that traumatizes you. So knowing that they fucking surveil me, and knowing that I put those fucking chairs outside, one of them on the porch and one of them in the backyard, because I'm going to get rid of it or sell it or something, he knew that. And he came over here to fucking gaslight me and antagonize me, and I was so fucking angry. You see? Knowing they're all calculated, their movements and it's all very calculated and orchestrated to get you fucking angry and to get you to react and to make you traumatized. You see how evil this stuff is not, and I have to emphasize this. These people are not of God. They are not there's something so psychologically wrong with them, the way they're wired. It's like all that trauma that they have built up from their childhood trauma, of which they never spoke about to anybody until you come along, who's supposed to fix them and be their therapist, their nurse, their caretaker, their sex slave, everything, their everything. Nobody can do that. That kind of, those kinds of grandiose expectations to put on an individual are too much. It's too much pressure to fulfill that, and they know that, and you can't do that physically. It'll kill you. You start neglecting yourself. You start neglecting your needs. You start to become, you don't even bathe. You don't wash you start to really lose your own individuality to the point because you're so trying so hard to please them and to do what for them. But you can't do that anymore. You have to take care of yourself. You have to be selfish and put yourself first if you want to heal from these kinds of people. Because if you don't put yourself first for once, as opposed to always trying to please them and cater to them, it's going to kill you. It can kill you. So put yourself first. Respect yourself. To hell with them. Let them move on. Let them go from one supply to the next and fail at all their attempts in trying to replace you. Let them play the field, since they've been doing that the whole time anyway. And just try to move on with your life and let them go. And don't look back and don't let them back in. I'm talking to myself. I'm just kind of trying to be my own coach here about, what I went through today or what I've been going through. But if you don't focus on your needs and yourself and your health, you don't have another body. This is it. You have to focus on your own mental and emotional, physical health, instead of focusing so much on these people who are just leeches, energy vampires, malignant people who don't have your good intentions for you, who are using you, who don't have any future with you. If you see that there's no future, if you're only a friend and it's been a year and a half and you're still considered a friend and they're still on a dating site and they don't care if you're dating other people, then what the fuck what is that? What is that except a transaction of which somebody is being used? Usually me, in my case, I was being used to give this guy what he wanted. And that's all it was. And of course he's going to keep coming around because he was getting something that he wanted physically from me. And that's what it was all about. And it really got to the point where it's like, I'm not a prostitute. You make me feel like a dirty prostitute, things that I've done. I don't want that. I don't feel comfortable with that. And I respect myself. And I was really losing my identity and my respect for myself in that situation. Because you are so traumatized and confused and overwhelmed and violated and knowing that they're lying to you and doing shit behind your back and God knows who they're involved with or what kinds of things they're involved with. It's just not good. It's not good for me. I mean, maybe some people are into that. Me, I'm not. So that's all. That's what I have to talk about today.